So is it worth it to drive all the way out into the Oregon desert to find geocaches? Well, I'm going to let you know right after this. Hi, I'm Brian from Northwest Bronco. Welcome back to the channel. Now, geocaching is one of my favorite things to do out here when I'm in the Oregon desert. That's actually a total lie. I've never geocached a day in my life, but a couple videos back I came across an ammo can that had a geocache in it, and I thought, you know, how many of these things are actually around here? So when I got home, I opened up download the geocaching app, that's what it's actually called, and I looked, and it turns out that a lot of these cool spots that I found out here have a geocache there. So I guess by the end of this video, you and I both are going to know whether or not it's worth it to come out here in the Oregon desert to find geocaches, or are you better off just going behind the local Costco and finding them there. So without further ado, we're going to hop in the Bronco, we're going to head on out and see if we can find some of these things. All right, so I stopped for a quick second because the first cache is going to be by a town called Imperial, which the town no longer exists, but it used to be a bustling town. I've actually done a video on the town of Imperial before. There's nothing left out there but like a fallen windmill, but that first cache is gonna be out by the windmill that's fallen down. So I've already discovered one problem with me coming out here and geocaching, and that is whenever I see something on the side of the road, I can't help but get out and explore it and then go beyond it to see if I can find a homestead, because right here there's some purple glass and also this really cool old kind of bucket looking thing, and I so badly want to go out and see if I can find a homestead, but we have so many miles to drive today that we just don't have time to do it. So I'm going to go ahead and mark this on my Gaia GPS that this spot's here, and I'll come back another day and explore it, but we got to keep going down the road. All right, so we made it to our first geocache, and that's going to be somewhere in this spot here. Now, what I'm not going to do is show you me walking up to the geocache. I'm just going to show you kind of the geocache and what was in it, because I want you to be able to come out and find it. And if you look down these power lines, there's a road on the left side of it, and out on the left side of those power lines is where the town of Imperial was. Now, believe it or not, the town of Imperial actually had a couple hundred people living there, and they had a school, they had buildings, stores, they had everything out there. And now you can see there's absolutely nothing. Now, if you want to learn more about the town of Imperial and kind of me exploring out there, look in my video pile and you'll find that video down below. But in the meantime, I'm going to go over and find this geocache. All right, so I got the app open on my phone. I'm just kind of heading to where it says it's at. Looks like I have to go a little more left over here. I should be going straight at it. Oh, I can see it. There it is. This one's pretty easy to find. So we did open up the geocache here, and it's a black bucket, and you can see there's a bunch of stuff in there. Now, I don't know a lot about geocaching, but according to the people who do, there's a lot of toys and things. My guess would be because the kids come out here and they'll exchange toys or something. So the kid will come out here, find the geocache, take a toy, put it in, and then take a toy out. So the rule is if you put something in, you're supposed to take something out of equal or greater value. But what I'm mostly interested are the logbooks. All I really want to do is see the earliest dates and kind of maybe some history of each geocache. And like this one, you can see all the early pages have been torn out, which means all we're left with is these last little few notes right here, which it looks like the earliest date on here is going to be 2021. So, but you can tell that there's years and years and years of history here that have been ripped out, which is a shame. So it looks like this one was placed here by somebody named Ramirez. So if you're wondering if your geocache is still good out here, it does exist, and it does need a new logbook. All right, that one was pretty easy to find. Now the next one is about a mile or two down this road, and I think I know exactly the spot where this person put it, because there's a historical thing there that I'll tell you a little bit about, and then we're going to try to find the geocache there. So I was just cruising down the road, saw this pile of cans, so I'd stop and show it to you. And you can tell that these cans are about 100 years old because they'll have like this little dot on the bottom, which means these are solder bottom tank cans. And normally when I find something like this, I'll find a foundation or a house or a homestead nearby. But I did a whole walk around this spot and I didn't find any buildings at all. Now we are pretty close to the road right here, which kind of leads me to believe that because this is just kind of sitting here all by itself with nothing around, that this is just somewhere where somebody stopped and dumped their shit. All right, we just stopped at the place where there's a geocache here, supposedly. So let's take a look here and see what our description is. It says here, you are looking for a 5-gallon bucket, so bring your larger trading items. The special bonus is to pull off the rock that covers the wellhead itself. You will be rewarded with an icy blast of rushing air. And that's actually true, because when I covered the spot in my video, I actually showed you if you take the top off that thing and it's hot outside, if it's like 100 degrees, it just is blowing cold air out of that well hole, which I'll actually show you again here today. It was too bad back in the day they couldn't find a way to pump that cold air into their house, because that would have been great air conditioning. But anyway, we're getting a little off topic here. Let's go ahead and I'll show you the spot real quick, and then we're going to see if we can find the geocache. All right, let's do a quick lay of the land here. There's the Bronco, obviously. The road we came in on is down there, and this homestead has a U-shaped driveway, so you actually drive in and around and back out to the road. And if you look over there, that's going to be where the home was right there. It was a pretty good-sized house. And right here is going to be their cistern where they held water, and that's going to be a windmill that at one time was standing. All right, so here's that well hole we were talking about that's blowing the cold air. The cistern's right there. The windmill would have stood here. And I'm going to put the microphone down there so you can hear how much air is actually coming out of there. And another fun little party trick you can do is you just take some sand, put it over the top, and you can see that the sand doesn't even fall down in. There's that much air coming out. It just blows right back up. So this is where their home once stood, and it was a good-sized home. I mean, you can see how big this thing is, and there's just debris kind of all over the place. All right, let's see if we can walk around here and find that geocache. All right, the creek is here, and somewhere up here is that geocache. So I'm not gonna show you exactly where it is, but when I find it, I'm gonna open it up and show you what's inside. All right, let's open her up and see what's in here. Ooh, this one's pretty full. You can tell a lot of kids do this geocaching thing, because there's some pretty cool stuff. There's like an old game in here that you can trade for. Just some princess stuff. It's just full, basically just full of toys. This is kind of funny, some King's Candy cigarettes. You don't find these very often anymore. Let's open up the logbook and see what we have for entries. The first entry is probably going to be from the person who placed it here, and it's from 6/27/04. So this geocache has been here for quite a long time. And flipping through here, it looks like the newest geocache find was January 1, 2024 from Hiker Girl and Geodogs. Happy New Year. Man, it must have been cold when you were out here. All right, so that's about it for this geocache. I'm going to go ahead and put the top back on, put it back where it was. And in case you were the one that put this here, I can tell you that it's in great shape and there's lots of good stuff in here. So if you want to come find this geocache, bring your kids, because there's lots to trade for. All right, so I'm just looking at where our next cache is, and it looks like it's going to be about a half mile to a mile down the road. And I think it's in a spot I've seen before. It's like an old watering stop, and it had a homestead there. But we'll see when we get there. Oh man, I hate broccoli so much, but gotta eat it. So one more fun fact before we leave this place. I did find an old oil can. I can actually read through the rust a little bit, and it's Haviland oil, which means that this spot is probably from about the early 1900s. Now this is kind of a known spot to people who kind of roam around out in the desert. This is called Peter's Well. I don't believe I've ever covered this spot, but what I'm going to do is I'm just going to kind of show you what's here, because obviously there's a well, and then you're also going to have a homestead that's over there behind you and some other historic things. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to show you around a couple of the historic things first, and then we're going to go find that geocache. So here's a quick lay of the land. There's the road we came in on. It's a decent little road, kind of a collapsed structure back there. Another one here. And right over here is where, now if you look at the photos for this cache, this used to be a building over the top of that. You can kind of see the concrete foundation. That building is now gone. And I don't know if this is it stacked up or if this was a homestead site, because there is a bunch of glass and ceramic in China and things like that here. So who knows about that. This is kind of cool. You can kind of see the construction of their fencing right here. They use some big, big nails. And it seems like they always seem to bend one to hold those on. So it's been about an hour and a half and I can't find shit. Now you can look at notes from people that were here before on the actual app. And the last person was here was in January and they found it and they said they put it in a plastic bag, but it supposedly is a smaller Tupperware container that's kind of camouflaged. I've walked all around this tree trying to spot this thing from afar and I didn't find anything. So I'm going to show you where I think it might have been and maybe it's not there anymore. So I think it was right there because the description said he had to have a kid on his back to be able to reach it. Well, I'm 6'4", so I'm about that high. And there's a random rock just kind of stuck right here and a nice crevice in there. And this rock's been in here for a long time. It's stuck. So I'm assuming it was probably right there. So if you know where that geocache is, give me some clues down in the comments below, would you? Now I think it's definitely worth coming out here in the desert to look for caches because wherever these caches are, they're usually going to be placed by something historic. Like this spot, for example, you have an historic well, you've got a homestead, and you've got probably a windmill falling down over there, some other buildings, cans everywhere, all kinds of cool pieces of glass and china. Like it's absolutely worth coming out here to look for geocaches. So if you enjoyed this content with geocaching, put it in the comments below. Let me know that you want to see more of this content because it's really not that big a deal for me to come out and find some geocaches since I'm out here doing my thing anyway. So if you liked the video, give it a like, maybe subscribe for more Bronco content, and we will see you next time.